I think honestly, just like any sales business, it's who you're working with. I really think it's gonna be the person and the approach that's gonna build the relationship, not the product.
Being able to now kind of come back after you sold the home, like, hey, you're gonna get the product anyways from somebody else. Might as well get it from somebody that you trusted to actually sell you your home, from a trusted partner that your real estate partner has or your real estate agent has, right? So by being able to offer those extra services, and along, like you said, like the lottery tickets, those are, maybe win some money there, you know?
1, 2, 3, 4.
All right. Well, listen, thank you guys for coming today. I'm excited to be able to host here today because obviously Pablo can't be here, right? So first of all, thank you, Jimmy, and thank you, Matthew, for coming in today.
Absolutely.
Let's pick up kind of where we were at earlier. We were talking about haircuts.
Yeah, we're talking about haircuts, yeah.
We're talking about haircuts because you do multiple things, right? You do multiple things, and one of those things is you're a barber for 17 years, right? So tell us about that, and then how does it relate to Jimmy's head? Because we were talking about a shark earlier.
What we were talking about was that, barber of 17 years, and your hairstyle actually reminds me of a client I used to cut up.
In case you can't see it, guys.
There
it is.
The camera right there, your camera's right there.
Right there.
Yeah.
Got it.
And, so your haircut reminded me of that client, and I was like, where do you get your haircut at? Because that's a nice haircut right there. So props to your barber right there.
Appreciate it.
I was like, dude, I showed him a picture right now that the client has the same haircut, just with a shark in the back of his head. It's a big shark. And, maybe on the screen we'll pop it up,
Yeah.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
That we do a little pop-up on there. But yeah, we're talking about that. And also how you mentioned, who was it that travels to Austin, right?
Oh, my cousins. They go from San Antonio to New York.
Yeah, San Antonio to New York. So funny. I have a story, right? One of my good friends, and I cut his hair too. So he lives in Texas, in Austin actually. Yeah, Austin, Texas. But he was working here in LAX. He was working for Boeing over there.
Got it.
So he would fly from work to
haircut
home
loyalty
to work. Yep. To come to work, he would work here for like a few days. But in that time, he wouldn't go get his haircut over there.
It's crazy.
He would fly out here and make sure when he comes to work, he's coming to get a haircut. So he would make sure every 2-3 weeks he lines it up.
Guys will stay loyal to their barber for years. I mean, like I was telling you guys, I've been getting my haircut with the same guy. Well, rest in peace, Nacho, since I was 16 years old. Now his son runs the shop, and I'm 45. So I still drive to El Monte to get a haircut.
Almost 30 years.
Once a week or once every other week to keep it cut clean. So it's there's this loyalty amongst barbers, which is crazy because I always use barbers as like an example of scalability when I'm talking to someone. It's like I always use the example of how many cuts can a barber do in a day, right? And there's only so many man hours, and then you got to figure out if that's all you can do. There's only 2 ways to scale. It's either raising your prices or opening up another shop, running your chairs, right? So it's like that's funny how this all started there, because I always use barbers as an idea.
I love that because check it out. I want to first of all let me open up and welcome everybody to the call today, because I think there's 2 important keys that we want to talk about today. And that's loyalty and then scaling, and we're gonna dive into these businesses. So let me just welcome everybody. Welcome everybody to the Wealth Podcast. My name is Andrew Ramirez. I'll be your host today, where you're gonna be learning a little bit from 2 professionals in their own businesses, and we're gonna focus in a little bit about loyalty. And we're going to talk about scalability, because what we want to do is we want to be able to present to the viewers out there the ability to grow their businesses effortlessly, having fun while they do it with people that they love. So I'm going to introduce you today, the LA homeboy, Jimmy Mercado.
What is up, y'all? Check it out, LA homeboy right here.
And then we got Matthew Acosta with Build Network.
Yes, sir. Let's go.
So do me a favor, introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us what you do. Tell us a little bit about how you got into it, a little bit of story behind, how you became a realtor, and all of the other good stuff that we need to hear today.
Sure, a little bit of color. Thanks for having me today. I got my license, I was telling you earlier, in 2003. I was 23 years old. I'm 45 now. Wasn't really working my license. My mom's a real estate broker, so kind of legacy, in the family. Didn't think I was going to end up where I'm at now. Doing real estate, investing, and all the other things that come with it. I I went the traditional route, went to UCLA, got a degree. I went to law school for a year, and then I dropped out and I quit. And I didn't tell anybody I quit. I just kept waking up and going. Like,
certainly weren't telling your parents.
I wasn't telling my wife to be. I wasn't telling anybody. I was living in a little bit of shame, you know, because I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was kind of unfocused, kind of had that little they call it a one-up wound from your parents. Like, you are the top, you know, and you got to show out for our family, and you got to like do something that has some sort of degree behind it, some sort of recognition and doctor, lawyer kind of thing. And so I was lost in the sauce doing that. So I went through some time kind of figuring things out, but opportunity always meets preparation, I think. And and I had my broker's license, and in 2010, 11, I don't really remember when it was, but I got the opportunity to broker a brand new Remax franchise out of the blue. Wow. Yeah, buddy of mine franchised it with his partner, but one lender, one realtor, no broker. And they had a broker in the office. They brought 12 other agents from another Remax that they were branching away from because they didn't like what was going there. And then they wanted to shift broker, you know, at the top. And I was working a minimum paying job, minimum wage. I think I was making like $22K a year, you know, in like 2011, 2012. And I was married. I had a mortgage. We had just got a car. I was living check to check. And I quit the next day. I told my wife, like, she has the steady job. You know, she's in education, smartest person I know. And I was like, you got to hold it down. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to get some commission here on on closings. And sure enough, you know, it went well. I got into, I think a lot of my life is happenstance, along with being prepared. But, you know, I don't want to minimize it by luck and chance, but timing has been everything in my life. I happened to be at a convention for real estate because I didn't know what I was going to do for leads. There was a vendor area, right? The vendors are trying to sell you every new gadget and gizmo. Right there, There's this guy, actually he was dressed like you, really sharp. And he was like, hey Jimmy, come over here. And I believe his name was Ricardo. I don't remember, but we got this, and he actually had a mantra like this. It was very similar setup. We got these new way of doing leads, and we're getting them online. We're this new company. And I was like, well, I don't know. I haven't heard of you. And it's a lot of money. It was like $600 a month to get what they called impressions. I didn't know what ad impressions were, like showing up when people are looking for houses. I'm like, well, how are you looking for houses online? It's kind of, I knew the old school way of doing real estate. Houses were in books, like the MLS was barely going online. Long story short, my partner vouched for me. He's like, look, Jimmy, I got you covered. First couple months, I'll pay for it. I know you're going to close. You know you're going to close. Shout out to my homie Victor. Victor Ortega, he's a lender. And sure enough, we paid for the leads. Started closing. I closed the first 2 leads I got. The rest is history. So, I mean, we can go into more of the business, but just want to give a little bit of color. Now, that company is Zillow, by the way. Started out, and
we'll dive into that because you mentioned something. Jimmy and I drove over together on the way in, and I want to pick up on a couple of things. But before I do, why don't you just? I want to introduce Matt as well. Matt's with the Build Network. Tell us a little about what you do. You were with us on the podcast last week, and then I think this is like your third podcast.
This is the third one. Yep.
So give us a quick synopsis of what you do and why you do it, and then we'll dive in because there's a couple things I want to pick up on from what Jimmy just said.
No, yeah, definitely. Just to even like backtrack of how he talked about scalability and loyalty, right? So because that's going to tie into my story as well too, is the scalability part, right? I love talking about that because that's where my shift has been. Right. So a little bit about myself. My name is Matthew Acosta. I've been a barber for 17 years, and now in the past 2 years been a part of Build Network, where we have home essential services, and also we do education. And it's a business and lifestyle platform. So we want to be able to give people an opportunity to make extra money and also live life and travel at the same time while doing it as well. So even for like realtors per se, you know, it's a hand in hand where we have all of the essential services like solar, home security, water filtration, a list of products where we give you the opportunity to offer these services and you get a commission from that as well too. So it's an ultimate referral platform, and we're able to live life while doing it.
Yeah, I read an article last week and it talked about how referrals are the number one source of business. Like, who doesn't want a warm handoff, right?
No, yeah, always. Definitely.
Yeah. Yep. And I want to go back to something you said, Jimmy, just a minute ago. And you said and you said it in the car too. And Jimmy said I'm just lucky. He said the word lucky in the call, and then in the car, and then right now he said it a different way. But the sentence happenstance is what you said.
Happens, yeah.
But then you also said opportunity is and when opportunity and preparation meet, that's kind of like what you define as luck as well. But you had opportunity and you were also prepared. So let's dig into that just a little bit as it relates to your real estate business, because Jimmy and I are friends, so I know a lot about him. Like, he's a real estate agent and broker. Like, you're building a brokerage right now as well, right?
Correct.
And also, you mentioned that you're an investor as well.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And so we've talked about how I used to have some investments that went bad back when the market crashed. And
right.
But Jimmy's done extremely well.
I always say the difference between me and Andrew in what we've done is just the day of the week. You know, the timing, really. Because I think we've spoken before, and I think he's as risk tolerant as I am. So
sometimes irresponsible, maybe.
Well, you got it. You know, I believe, and we're in the Wealth Group podcast. I believe when you're using that word wealth, the people that are behind that word took one risk, multiple risks in their lives to get there from who I've spoken with, and I think sometimes it really is the day of the month, the day of the week, the year that kind of just propelled me to get where I was at, you know, because I know he's a risk taker for sure, and that's the people I want to be around. That's why I'm on this podcast.
So let me ask you this, Jimmy. You said risk. So tell us about a time where you had a risk that went bad. That way for the people who are viewing, like, we know, like, especially as entrepreneurs, right? We take risks,
right?
And sometimes, a lot of times, they don't pan out, and then and then you get something that really happens really good, but it does take some risk. So tell me about a time where you took a risk, it didn't work out.
I mean, I can tell you multiple times for sure. I'm a vendor's favorite call, a cold caller's favorite call, because I have FOMO, you know.
Say yes to everything.
Yeah, because if they're telling me like, hey, I got the next best thing in leads, I got the next okay, show me how it works, sign me up. I don't want to miss out, and that is where my mistakes happen. I know myself. I get too hyped up, too activated, and when I start to rush because I see the light at the end of the tunnel is when my mistakes happen.
Okay.
I know I don't take the pause, right? You know, John Wooden, I went to UCLA, right? Has a great quote. It says, "Be quick, but don't hurry." Right?
I like
so
that.
there's a way to do things in a quick manner, but just keeping it focused. So recently, big mistake I made. I just purchased 2 properties in Detroit, right, and out of state, because I ran out of land that I could afford here, you know, or just that didn't seem financially like a good move, investment-wise. But I was in such a hurry, and I want to get to like 10 houses by tomorrow, right? Like, I want to have 5 houses in Detroit by the end of the year. And I was ready to keep going. And while lining up contractors, and you know, I reach out to the networks and to the Facebook groups and to the local groups, trying to vet people out, I just had a guy tell me things that were too good to be true. And I took a risk. First was buying the property, but second, trying to get it ready really quickly without doing the proper vetting. And I lost thousands of dollars to this guy. Didn't do the proper vetting. Wow. I didn't even realize he didn't have a contract license on the contracts. You know, I didn't review documents properly, right? So that definitely is one of the biggest mistakes I've made recently. You know, just being in such a rush, being in such a hurry. Also, buying a couple systems, paying for a couple systems that just were no-goes, you know, really bad. Because, again, I see the gold shiny thing and realize that I want to be over there quick, but that's not the way it's going to work. You know, everything in its time, doing it right, you'll still get there in a good time. Yeah. But it's cost me a lot of money to get where I'm at, you know, learning curve. And it's really like showed me that I have to slow down. I have to, even when I talk fast. Now I know we're on a podcast and we're in time, so I'll speak fast. But even when I'm speaking quickly and fast, I know I'm going too fast. I'm activated.
Yeah.
I know that if I'm not speaking at a slower tone and really listening, active listening, versus just because I can talk for days, as is happening now, right? So yes, the important thing is recognizing who I am to not make those mistakes again. So to be risk tolerant, you have to be able to absorb losses, and I have.
And there's gonna be losses in entrepreneurship. Yeah. I want to pick up on what you said about the whole speaking and the temperament. Matt and I, or Matthew, Matt, he said, I can call him both.
Either Matt or Matthew.
We're doing a challenge this week with Gabriel Villa. Shout out to Gabriel Villa, by the way. I think Gabriel's been on the podcast with Pablo, I think it was last week's podcast, maybe. Yeah. But Gabriel Villa, he's starting a brand new platform. He's coaching people on speaking. It's called Major League Speakers Group, right?
Yep.
And we've been doing the challenge this week, and he talked about pace, right? And you've been in it. So what are a couple of things that you took that, as it relates to like what we're talking about today, even loyalty, right? Because that's a key thing. Impulsiveness. Could you take from that whole idea of what you've learned from his speaking lessons on this week's challenge?
Yeah, well, even today we had a powerful message today too, right? Because how you're talking about speaking fast. He talks about slowing it down. Don't speak too bad. Don't just spill out your words. But what I really, really liked was that he was talking about the piano yesterday. Yesterday he was talking about the piano where you stroke your words and you kind of sound louder on some, lower on some monotones. You kind of up higher and lower, right?
Right.
And I like that. So I used that yesterday when I was helping Roxana. We're doing content at the event we're at yesterday.
Oh yeah, the Penthouse.
And I was like, hey, when you're doing your recording for Instagram right now, do it like this. And she's like, oh, you learned something? I was like, yeah, I picked up quick. I was like, because it's knowledge on that training there, right? Because we're able to learn how to speak, learn how to slow down, when to show the excitement, when to smoothen it out, right?
Yeah.
And I lost my train of thought of something that you had said. It kind of, on how you said you are when you see that shiny object, or you kind of like, I see that next thing, like you rush into it. I'm glad I'm not the only one. I was like, all right, cool. I got another brother here with me that's on the same page, right?
I think it's the nature of being an entrepreneur, brother.
Yeah, because like, shout out to my fiance, because she's the one who's like, no, you're going into it too fast. Wait, think about it. It's like you see it and you go.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, wait, like,
sometimes
relax.
we just want to be there. And we forget about being here.
Yep, exactly.
And we're always thinking about being over there.
Yep.
And that, I think, is really important when you're an entrepreneur, to have your goals and where you want to be, but also make sure your feet are on the ground here, because I'll get lost. If I'm not being pulled back down, I know I could float away. And so again, having a good anchor, my wife, shout out to Jeanette, it's a really good anchor in my life. She holds me accountable. I need someone to hold me accountable. But going back to that speaking thing, cadence, right? It's been shown that someone that speaks with a cadence, more people are going to pay attention to them, right? Like the way you bring up a rhythm or a flow, like the piano.
Yeah.
And
I like how you brought up that word cadence.
Always had a cadence to their voice.
Yeah, because cadence, I use that when I would train for running the marathons. You have to have your cadence when you're running, your stroke on your strides. So being able to now plug those two in together, just that word just triggered that right now. Was now when I'm speaking, I can know it's like when I'm running a marathon.
Yeah.
When I know I gotta speed it up a little bit, my stride is a little bit longer or a little bit shorter when I'm trying to maybe lower my heart rate a little bit.
Yeah.
So I like that. That made an extra connection there for me right there.
So I love this conversation, because when it comes to like real estate, you speak with a lot of people all the time who want to either buy or sell homes, but you're also a broker who's also recruiting agents to your agency. So when it comes to that type of business, how important is it for you to you talked about presence, right? Slowing down actually helps you become present, and then listening first. For the people that are out there listening today, because they obviously want to make more business, they want to have more clients. In the real estate world, how does that work out for you?
I mean, I think for me, and I'll speak for myself, as I should, I used to be the person, and it's still kind of my baseline, where instead of listening, I'm like right there ready to jump in. Someone said something at the beginning, and I just want to jump into that, and I want to be heard, just to be heard. I want people to know that I know. and then I stopped listening to the rest of the conversation, right? Because we were just like, tag me in, coach, you know, like ready to jump in. And it's like,
put me in the game.
Right. And then I would have missed out on the important things this person said that might have been something that I'm going to take away from. So same goes with my clients. I think recruiting agents is different. But with clients, and I take a lot of hot calls through like phone transfers, right, from lead sources. So they're high intent buyers, and the key is to be really quick to see where they are on the what we were talking about, frequency, right, and mimic their frequency. I don't want to make someone feel like I'm the show, right? They have a need. I need to solve that need. I don't need to add to that need, right? And if they feel that I'm just going way above them, just in frequency of talking and speed, then it's not going to work. Now, if someone's talking fast, I have to match them because that's how they are. So if I can't match them, they're probably going to think, oh, this person can't see me on my level. Where someone speaks a little bit slower, calmer, I have to immediately bring it back down so they understand that I'm actively listening to them. So
I think that's one of the reasons why Jimmy and I hit off so good, because we met coaching our kids soccer, right?
Oh, nice.
And I'm out there on the field, and I'm talking to the kids, and we're trying to get the things going. And then Jimmy comes and says, hey, let's go. What are we going to do? We're going for it. But from a business perspective, I like this because we talked about this idea of loyalty earlier, right? And Jimmy, so just real quick, how much business have you done just as a realtor?
Closed over 250 transactions.
Okay.
In 14 years. So just as a realtor, my own personal sales in millions, it's like 115 million in sales volume. I'm not a big fan of those things.
No, and the reason
but yes, I've done a lot of business.
How many of those were repeat customers?
That's the hard part. As an entrepreneur, always trying to be over there, I'm always looking for the next business instead of nurturing the business I've had. So I know I've lost some business because I keep track of the stats of people who have sold their homes, not with me, that I sold their homes every year, right? So being top of mind is one of the things I've been working on recently. So I have had a lot of repeat customers, but I know I've had repeat customers slip through the cracks because the stats do show if you're not top of mind, doesn't matter if you've been loyal to them, quote unquote, in your head, but if Nancy's talking to Susan about the realtor that just sold her house yesterday, and the idea with Fred, Nancy's husband, when they had a conversation about selling their home within that month, and I hadn't made a touch point, they're going to go to that realtor.
Yeah.
They just are. Because I'm way over here in my house in Alhambra, and wherever I sold their house, let's say in Upland, we're just talking about a lead in Upland, and Nancy's her neighbor in Upland, and this agent just sold, that's who they're going to work with, right? Not someone in LA in the east side, even though I was the initial starting point where we started looking probably in the east side, how they met me, and we ended in Upland. So being top of mind to clients is really your nurture clients, the ones you've had, your past clients, really, really important. And I've learned that I've lost a lot of money from not being top of mind because I've been in the lead generating game for a long time where I just keep getting the next deal. And it's like, okay, I closed, send them a Christmas card. A Christmas card ain't enough, bro. Trust, it ain't enough. It needs to be a market value every month email. You should send someone a lottery ticket in June out of nowhere. Oh, shoot, Jimmy sent me a $2 lottery ticket. I don't know why.
Goes a long way.
Something. And it could be they have these little shut-off valves for your gas meter. You can get like 100 for $50, right? It's like no one has them for their house. You could mail that. Like I've been learning, right? Just taking some notes and things and reading some books about being top of mind and also leveraging technology, AI now to do that stuff for me. But going back to that, it's not enough of my repeat customers.
Okay.
Not enough.
And I would imagine that going back to the whole conversation of the tone and the pace and the listening first, that's how the door gets open, right? Like we were on a call on the way over here today, and he had a lady, Maria.
That was her name?
Maria, and she's looking for a realtor. And so one of the things that I noticed was that Jimmy was asking questions first. Whereas in a lot of businesses, people want to just start
leading.
They want to like
follow me. I got the answer. Follow me.
So you recruit as well. You have sales as well. How does that play into the business that you do? Like, especially what Jimmy's talking about, like the follow up or just randomly sending something out. Like, what do you do in order to warm up people to the opportunities that you have within Build?
Yeah, I mean, it's the same. It's asking those questions, right? Where do you want to be at in your business? How can we benefit your business, right? Because with Build, we have the home services portion of it. So being able to talk to a broker or to a real estate agent, like say, hey, instead of you having just one touch point of a sale, or say if you have a homeowner that you previously sold before, you can add more value to yourself and to your office and your agents by offering some extra services, and maybe you could save them some money on any of the products, right? Where there's the solar, there's the home security, water filtration, we do internet and phone service, right? So it's a whole suite of businesses that are, it's like AT&T, Verizon, it's all name brand businesses that you can offer, right? So being able to now kind of come back after you sold the home, like, hey, you're gonna get the product anyways from somebody else. Might as well get it from somebody that you trusted to actually sell you your home, from a trusted partner that your real estate partner has or your real estate agent has, right? So by being able to offer those extra services, and along, like you said, like the lottery tickets, those are, maybe win some money there.
So I want to dig into this because this is interesting. Jimmy's a real estate agent and a broker. You partner with real estate agents and brokers. A few weeks ago, we were with a real estate guy, and he tells me something to the effect of like, why I don't like doing business with a lot of people that want to add on services to my offering is because they're always worried about what's in it for them. And it goes back to what we're talking about with Jimmy, where he says, I have to slow down and listen first. So let's role play here for a minute, right? Let's role play here because, as you know, Build, like we partner with a bunch of different people. Pablo has now endorsed it as his new new vertical in the business. So Jimmy, help us out real quick. Help us out because for us, in order for us to get in a door of a broker, in the door of a realtor, what needs to happen first? Whether it's Build, whether it's somebody who we also have the TFA, the life insurance part of it. There's other businesses that have all kinds of stuff, and they know that what you have is a gold mine, right? Tax professionals have gold mines because they already have a client base of people that have those natural services that mesh. What are the things that turn you off when people approach you, and what does it take for people like us to partner with you?
I think honestly, just like any sales business, it's who you're working with. I really think it's going to be the person and the approach that's going to build the relationship, not the product. Yeah, because absolutely. Why do people buy the expensive thing when they have the least expensive thing right next to it? The same product, right? At Costco or somewhere else, right? Because they trust a brand or a name, right? So if someone's cold calling me to refer my book of business to a product they have, even though I may see some value in it, if I don't know who you are or where you come from or what you've done, I can't trust my name behind it. And it's a people business. We're in a people business. We're not in a product business. Yep. And that's how I work with my clients. It's building intimacy with the client, talking about giving them questions, leading questions in a sense that not everyone, they're gonna, not gonna answer to everyone. But even just small things like, how many kids do you have? Where do they go to school? Boom, already built intimacy. I know where their kids go to school. How crazy is that? You're telling some stranger where my kids go to school. How do you like that school? Boom, what grade are they? So I always let the client drive the conversation. I go Socratic, right? Ask questions. So the conversation is always going to be dictated by that person. Oh, I'm trying to move. Role play with the call. I'm new to the neighborhood. I moved here for work. Oh, I stop them right there. I stop talking. I say, who do you work for? Oh, I work at the J Corp Lab or something, right? Oh, how long have you been working with them? About 6 years. Oh, and you just moved to LA. Where'd you move from? Maine. How did you like the town in Maine? How long did you live there? Oh, great. And your partner? So I'm going to talk about my product the least as possible. Because I know there's an issue and there's a problem in your house and I can solve the problem. But why am I going to force that down their throat? They need it anyways. I want them to trust me to give them that versus the next person, right? So in the same, if someone comes to me selling me solar, I need to talk to them. I don't care about your product yet. You know, I want to know who you are. Are you just doing this to make an extra buck? And if you are, that's cool. But who are you? Why are you trying to make an extra buck? Where are you coming from, right? So those kind of things. Just building intimacy.
Yeah, building the relationship and the rapport there.
That's way more important.
If I tie that back, right, to my years of barbering, that's what I did to all of my clients as well, too. As soon as they sat down in the chair, hey, is it your first time to the shop? You know, where do you live at? You know, where did you move from? You know, you're married, you have family, you have wife, kids, whatever it may be, right? And building up that relationship, because then the next time you talk to that person, then you remember that information that they told you, and it makes them feel even more special because, like, wait, I told you I was going to a quinceañera 3 months ago. I'm back getting a haircut now. Your hair's all the way down to your shoulders. But by remembering and making them feel good as well, too, is how you make somebody feel as well.
100%. Right.
Bartenders and barbers, man. Like I've met some really cool barbers and bartenders over the year, and they, just like what Jimmy said, they know you need something, but a lot of times the conversation is what makes it most important. My dad goes to Vegas. Well, I used to go a lot before he got sick, but and he would always find this one guy because he always made him feel special. My dad used to just like sit there and play poker, but he would be like, "Where's Dante?" And he would ask, "Where's Dante at today?" Because he knew he could sit down and play his little game and have a beer or whatever he was having, and then but Dante was gonna have a conversation with him, right? So I love this. I love this piece about, one, you talked about, okay, you have to build a relationship. A lot of times you'll hear in business people say, your net worth is equal to your what?
Network.
Your network. So if you ain't networking, first of all, and if
right.
you ain't networking with other people's interest in mind, then your net worth goes down, right? And the other thing is, listening to people. And then the last thing we talked about was that whole loyalty piece, right? So when people come into your business, how much, especially when it comes to homes and real estate, how much of your interest in them brings them back to having you on top of mind?
That's the work I've been doing, is having people, because even for myself, when it comes to, I just said this, business is cutthroat, and there's no loyalty if it's feeding my kids and putting food on my table. And I'm sorry, it's just like, what makes the smartest sense for me if I'm working with 3 lenders and it makes more sense over here for whatever reason, then I'm going to go over here, even though I like 1 and 2. So first is knowing the people, but second also, at some point, you do have to be a little selfish. You do have to understand what's in the best interest for yourself and for your business. So when I close a deal and I forget about them, they're like, well, there's no loyalty to Jimmy because he didn't come back to me. I only get this canned Christmas card every year. Does he know how my kids are doing? Does he even care? Oh, did he just chop me up, real quick?
Yeah.
We chopped it up through the sales part and then forgot about me. And, so there's more that can be done. Sending the kids, writing, getting the information. I read a really good book called Ninja Selling, and it's real estate based, and it's, it really helps how to stay top of mind with your past clients. And right off the bat is nowadays it's a CRM, right, with all the information of your clients, but getting those data points when marriage dates, anniversaries, kids' birthdays, dogs' names, putting it all down, calendaring it yearly to, hey, send that text. The other thing we can do now is with social media is you don't necessarily have to be doing that stuff. Follow everyone you can on Facebook if they still have it, Instagram, whatever they have, and keep the conversations going with them whenever they post a story every now and then, right? Or if they don't and you see that they're there, shoot them a DM real quick. Top of mind again, refresh. Okay, Jimmy's back in. It's been 90 days, but he's back at the top.
Okay.
And he starts going down with time. Back at the top. Oh, someone has a nice story or a birthday party. So social media can be leveraged to be on top of mind nowadays.
Right.
It's the new way. Just keep them close. Keep your people close.
So it was either last week's or the weeks before podcast. We had 2 social media specialists on here, and I want to dive into that because this year, was it this year, right? You went from like 900 followers to like almost 20,000 followers.
Yeah, so from last year, I had about 80 followers, January 2024.
80
followers.
80.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so we're about 24,500
Wow.
now. Yeah, organic, non-bot,
Oh, wow.
just kind of growing.
And I want to dig into that because there's some specific things that you've been doing on social media, and
Right.
it's always a hot topic. And people, like last week's topic on social media was hot. Like we were talking a lot about it. But I want you to share, like from your real estate perspective, obviously, and then your brand. There's a couple of things when I look at your social media, your brand is like on point because, like, first of all, LA homeboy.
Yeah.
What does that tell you, right? Shit, a veterano from the streets, right? But then you also keep it very focused. So tell us a little bit of how you went from 80 to 24,000.
Sure. Well, I was out of the social media space for about 4 years. I took a siesta. I got away from it, a hiatus, and came back to it. Said, okay, we got to get back on this thing because if I'm gonna grow, scale. I've been thinking about scaling and getting out of the rat race, and the only way to do that is to scale, right? Instead of deal to deal. But social media's got to be part of it. So I come on. And I'm just following people that, for me, you always got to be I got to be the dumbest person in the room, right? I want to be, and not in a negative sense, right?
Yeah.
I want to be around smarter people, right? I don't want to be the smartest person in the room. That makes no sense, right? So I started following people that had a lot of followers in the real estate space. And then I'm a big copycat. I mean, why reinvent the wheel, right?
Yeah.
Why reinvent the wheel? So the LA homeboy, first I'll go back to that. I don't come from the hood. I went to high school in Boyle Heights, but I ain't gang affiliated or anything like that. But I did see that people were using the homeboy moniker or tag and not being kind of true to the word, right? Like at the time in, I think, 2017 when we started working with under that name, there was homegirl teams, homeboy, just team, a bunch of them. And I was like, well, to me, and I'm a product of my dad from the 60s, I grew up listening to Motown and oldies and kind of on my own, being a kid of the 90s, kind of glorified the gang culture, and it's kind of not glorified, it's like fairy taled, kind of gave it some look. Although going to high school in Hazard neighborhood, at Bravo was kind of scary. People would go to the park, shoot hoops, and then come back with no shoes. Students, so. But the lowrider culture, right? Like all these things. So I grew up around the music, and I grew up. My dad was into cars. I grew up into cars. And so I know what a homeboy is. I had a cousin who's really in the streets, and right, and I'm like, well, I don't think I'm gonna kind of take the name and give it some of its truer value. So back to who I was following, people who would do home tours of houses, right? They would do the home tours. People love to look at homes. So my media, at first I started doing edited content, because I came back in early last year where edited content was the talking head with the caption, very spliced to get the right shots, right? Was in, but it seems like I came in at the tail end of that, and none of my videos were hitting. I was just copying topics, what everyone else was doing, just trying to get, and it didn't feel real. My wife, Jeanette, was like, that ain't you. Like, you're just, you're trying to be someone else, and it doesn't feel natural to me. So I said, forget that. I came across, I would like to, I think his name is Jared James. He's a realtor. I don't know, Midwest, Florida, South, but he did these videos with the green screens behind him with an article, a news article, right? And just kind of talked about the news article. And I was like, you know what? No one watches the news anymore. Where's everyone getting the news?
Social media.
Social media. All right, well, let me just drop some real estate news as it pops up, and I'll just put my backwards hat on, my T-shirts, my like whatever, because I'm organic, just want to be me, and drop some knowledge and get some of that started going off, and then I did a video that went pretty viral, like 100,000 views. It was the first one. And I had like 80 followers, or at the time, about 500 followers, right? And that really took it off, because then it's interesting how the viral sensation will just follow. I want more of this. Now, I had already had some stuff in my page for it to what do you call it? Retrack, or when the algorithm retarget will give you back more of someone's page that you just looked at, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So I had houses already, and then I started doing houses with these home tours, but putting them to oldies. And I just stuck with the niche. I was like, all right, I like oldies. I'm just gonna put all these houses with oldies. I'm gonna do some news articles. And after that, it was just no looking back. I think I went from like 1,000 followers to 10,000 in a week. With the one video that went viral, and I was just like, well, let me just keep doing this over and over. Yeah. And giving people something of value is really important. If you really want to make this work, I know there's a lot of people that have like Instagram pages or pages that they use it for a lot of different things, and it's just not concise. You go to their page and you're like, wow, why am I gonna? I liked what they had to say here, but more than likely you'll go to their page like, why do you follow other barbers? Because they have the ones that you do have different styles, different things. Why do you follow the guy at the gym or the gal at the gym? Because they teach you how to do different things. I'm not going to follow the person that just goes to the gym and is buff. Because they're showing me their story. I don't know them, their kid, or going out. I want to follow the person that's giving me more information. So you tailor the page to just be about giving people something of value. That's why I think a lot of realtors do it wrong. They put their wins, just sold, just pending, my open house, my listing. What's that doing to the consumer? Nothing. It's just a show off move.
Yeah. And here's another thing that's a show off move, right? And it's crazy that you're talking about this, because I wanna dial in on his brand and his message and his music and the neighborhoods that he shows, because I think it's super important, especially in an environment where businesses are struggling, real estate agents are struggling, people are struggling with business. This is one of the specific reasons why I brought Jimmy on, is because he said it. He used to do his reels at 5 o'clock in the morning.
5 o'clock, right before I go to the gym.
Every day. Go to the boom, before the gym,
real quick.
But he's not bathed. He's not shaved. He has his hat on backwards.
There's no professional cameras. It's all done. I do everything through my phone. I edit it all through Instagram. There's no other programs. It's so easy to do, but it's organic
and it's relatable.
People will hit me up on the DMs. Hey, I'd never thought of hitting up any realtor, but you just seem like someone I can talk to. And there's this forgotten sect of people out there. It's a big niche of people who make under 80 grand, who have credit score, between 40, they make between 40 and 80 grand. You can still buy a house with 40K if you get a brother, sister, friend. We can help someone. But there's forgotten people in the neighborhood. They have an under 620 FICO score. They have some debt. Realtors always want the easy win, I think. I think most salespeople do. Like, let me go for the highly qualified, what we call down the funnel person that's ready to buy now, instead of nurturing or relating to the people down the block in El Sereno, Lincoln Heights, City Terrace, East Los, Highland Park, wherever the east side over there, right? Like, that's just, hey, I don't know I could buy a house. I've been renting all my life. This dude right here, hey, babe, did you see this dude right here? He says I could buy a house. He says there's some free money available for me. I didn't think I could buy a house. Next thing I know is I get a DM either by him or his lady, like, hey, is this true what you said? Yes, it's true. We could get you into a house. Yeah. It might not be right now. It might not be in 3 months, but we'll get you into a house. We got the plan for you, right? But there's a big forgotten sect of people that just get overlooked. And that's the average blue collar, Juan and Joe.
Do you think that by branding yourself the LA homeboy allowed you to step into that, or
100%?
Okay.
100%.
So getting true with your identity first, 100%. Then allowed you to serve the people who are your friends, your brothers, your cousins, right?
Yeah.
Like from the neighborhood, because you actually live in the places where you sell your home.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in El Sereno, and I went to high school right there in Boyle Heights, and so like, and I'm not too far removed. I sold my house in El Sereno, and now I live just down the block, but like, I can get to these houses really quick. I know the neighborhoods. I know the streets there. I have family in the streets there, and I love classic cars. I just sold my 48 Fleetline.
You got rid of it?
I got rid of my bomb, but I bought a house with it, right? I had to outweigh,
and the car was made in Detroit.
And the car was made in Detroit. I bought a house in Detroit.
Oh, wow.
So, but
Transfer
I think
spending right there.
Yeah. But I think relatability, goes a long way. I think just being yourself and being true and being true to the people, and true to your customer and true to your client, going back to the intimacy and being organic goes a long way. Now, if you like being in a suit and a tie and that's your thing, I'm not knocking that either, but I think for the people I speak to, I think that's far removed from them. And you're talking to someone who's distrusting, might be authority.
Yeah.
And I want to remove all that and be unfiltered and get eye to eye with people, right?
And I think the key is going back to, and I want people to understand this who are watching the podcast, because it's super important in business in general, not just in real estate. It goes back to the whole point of listening. If you're listening to your market, if you're understanding who they are, if you're relating to them on their level, then they're going to have a higher likelihood of doing business with you because they can relate to you, right? Mm-hmm. So like Jimmy's people, when he goes out, he's not in a suit and tie. And he's not driving up in the, well, sometimes you drive up in your...
Yeah, I do drive up a nice car, but that's okay. That's not here nor there. But I do come out of the nice car in Cortez. Right. And a t-shirt, and they're like, look at this guy. All right, he's cool. I'm like, that's just what I wear every day. I like those shoes. They're comfortable. Mm-hmm. But that's relatable. That doesn't like, oh, here comes, I want to talk to this guy. And that's kind of the vibe I get. Mm-hmm. Not to knock anyone, because there's a niche for everybody and there's people for everybody. But I think there's this vast amount of people that just don't have someone to relate to, mm-hmm. to talk to about buying homes, or don't feel comfortable, because no one wants to feel ignorant, and it sucks. I do not know a lot of things, right? And so I try to learn them. And so making people feel dumb or beneath you, for me, is just, it doesn't talk to my soul. Mm-hmm. I want people, when I have a buyer consultation, I'll be like, I'm not here to lead you where like I'm in front and you're just following me. I'm here to teach you so that we can walk side by side. And that's an actual language that I use. I'm here to teach you so you know exactly what we're doing, and we're walking side by side together through this journey. Mm-hmm. So
that's beautiful.
Yeah, man. Collaborative method there with the homeowner and the customer.
Yeah.
Being able to let them know that, hey, I'm on your side.
That's right.
I'm not just trying to throw all this stuff at you and be like, you got to do this, and that, and you're going to buy this, and like you can't afford that, but I'm going to just throw you over here. Like, no, you're being able to now.
And I get that a lot. I get, I was pre-qualified with this lady, and she's sending me pads where I don't want to live. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, all right, well, let's take that back a step. Where do you want to live?
Yeah. Let's
send you everything where you want to live. Now, if the house doesn't exist there, we'll start stretching it out a little bit. Mm-hmm. And then if not, stretching it out a little bit. So I had to learn the hard way that the best way to have someone understand what you're trying to do is have them to come up with that idea themselves.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it comes to asking questions.
Yeah, exactly. And, it's funny I said that because this past Saturday I was doing a training for our East Coast team. And I was talking to them about sewing into their vision. So whoever you're speaking to, sew into their vision.
Right.
Because now being able to sew into their vision, you're gaining trust. You're letting them know, hey, I'm on your side. It's not what I want. I'm here to serve you, and I'm here to benefit your wishes and what 100%. Your vision looks like for you and your family, right?
Right.
So being able to connect in that way is really where, like you said, the intimacy is the intimacy. I like to touch people's souls, hey, I'm not just trying to, sell your product or just cut your hair. Like you said, it's building that relationship. I want to know, how are you? Really, how are you? Not just, oh, how are you? Okay, cool. No, let's have a conversation. Because in the business that we're in, it's a people relationship. So we're in a people business. We're not in a cutthroat business where it's like, hey, just go do this and that. No, we're in a people business, building relationships, building off of our fundamentals of how to treat people, right? Like, what book is that? Where How to Win Friends and Influence People. Those are all the core fundamentals. Yep, Dale Carnegie. Those are all core fundamentals of that. And I love that book there because that's really where being able to get further in life from that aspect of building that relationship is going to get you a lot further than you trying to be a tyrant out here and just tell people what to do.
And full disclosure, when I first started, I wore suits from 2012 to 2016.
I was going to ask the question.
Because, I think that's where insecurities lie, and imposter syndrome sometimes comes out. Like, you want to be part of that crowd. I didn't know where to go, and everyone in Downey was wearing suits because that's where I first started. Oh. And I won't talk about Downey, but, that it made me, I chose to be something I wasn't. Yeah. And it took me down the wrong path, trying to be like everybody else.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until I found myself, my true self, that everything started coming into place. And actually sales started toppling, 20 plus units a year, no problem. But because I'm just being real,
So I want to take it back because we're gonna start getting close to the wrap up here, and I promised that we were going to talk about two things, and one of them was loyalty. We talked about loyalty earlier, and so I think if I could summarize what my understanding is, loyalty starts actually with one, listening to the client, and then two, there's another thing is being truly authentic to you, who you are, so that you can relate to your client. Now I want to just touch on something real quickly if we can, because we said it at the beginning. From a perspective of scaling, okay, and then we'll probably have to have that conversation a whole nother time, because remember you told me earlier, Jimmy was like,
I was like,
bro, are we gonna be here for a whole hour?
Are we gonna get through an hour? I guess so.
It goes by in a flash because these are really good points, and when you get into a natural flow, things just start to happen. That's why I love this platform for us. But if when it comes to scaling, like you shifted from being a real estate agent and now you have your brokerage, and then you went from being an individual barber, right, to now, and then having multiple seats, to now having a referral network of built-in partners. Like, what's the number one key that you kind of rely on in order to build that scalability, in order for you to multiply yourself, if you will?
I think number one, you have to let go.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a whole other conversation. You gotta let go. Let go and let God, let God and let go. But you really have to let go of the control freaks that we may be as entrepreneurs.
That came up a few weeks ago.
And ego and narcissism, that no one can do it like I can do it. And, I'm the best at what I do for my people. And that's just simply untrue. Yeah. But that's the number one thing.
Man, that's beautiful.
Once I learned to let go, it's on. It's just.
I want you to tell the people, tell them what they got, because this is before we go into that. Let me give you a shameless plug here. What's the name of your new brokerage?
Next
Brokerage.
Next Brokerage. You can catch us on IG at Next Brokerage.
And it's like a few months old, right?
Yeah. So
and how many agents do you have?
About a year old. No, we're also 18 months old. We went from 3 agents to 47 agents.
Amazing. So. Okay, and so I want people to understand this one piece, because it's come up multiple times in the podcast when we've been here. So just do me a favor and let the people know how important that piece of it is, of letting go.
Letting go is the most difficult thing I think I've had to do, is to let go of my ego and everything that comes around it that keeps me really bottled up and not allowing me just to open up, right? I think we all live under this umbrella, this invisible umbrella, and there's a limit there. There's always a limit, I can't do this, I can't do that. Once you remove that and see that there's an endless amount of possibilities in our lives at every moment, this conversation could have gone a million different ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Times another million, right? So once you let go of that, once I let go of that, I'll speak for myself, and my ego, and realize that if I can let go of myself and be willing to trust people, not blindly, people that we've had that intimacy come into our lives, and give them the allowance to make mistakes and to grow just as I did, because I didn't get to where I was by not making mistakes and trial and error, and be okay with it and not having any judgments on that and just teaching and growing, then scalability is a whole nother level. Like now I can close so many properties because I have multiple agents that I can work partnerships out with on my clients or leads and be like, hey, you be in Fontana this week, you be in Palmdale, and I can be pitching balls to my son at home while I'm making money.
Yeah.
Right? And 4 years ago I couldn't have done that. Never. I'd be in all those places before I took this hiatus. You follow me on Instagram in 2019. I was in 7 cities on a Saturday because I could not let go. And now I stay home for the most part and allow the business just to close in numbers. But it's almost like you do have to let God and let go.
All right.
It's almost like that's the only way.
So a key, speaking of home ownership, a key
here we go,
to scalability and to wealth, because this is the Wealth Group podcast, is letting go. Now, I want real quickly one thing, because we're going to have to start wrapping this up soon, but when it comes from scalability from your perspective, growing your referral network, getting additional people into the platform, what's the number one key for you?
Yeah, I mean, just going back to what you talked about is let go and let God, right? Because if you try to control everything, you just can't. You can't. You're stretching yourself too thin, right? But also to add to that is creating other leaders and developing them, teaching them, showing them what was the steps in the path that you took to be able to get to where your success is at. So in the form and the context of scalability includes multiple other leaders that you've built and you developed and you trained and you allowed them to mess up just like we did in our businesses to be able to now grow and flourish. So on a scalability standpoint is by being able to pour into other people, they are now able to duplicate you. Right. And by us being able to provide a platform, right, because we have a referral network platform, you have a brokerage, right, where we're under that, there's that invisible umbrella per se. Well, now we're able to develop other people and to build out the platform in its entirety, whether it's a real estate brokerage, referral network. Shout out to my brother. He just opened up his barbershop in Whittier, California.
Hey, congrats.
Let's go. It's an addition of my shop that I opened 9 years ago. So being able to now develop him, and he's been able to now flourish and create another division of the barbershop in a different city. Developing leaders. And also, shout out to Gil. He's been able to hold down the barbershop while I've been out building out here, Yeah. So developing other leaders as well too. We had that conversation, him and I, where it's like, hey, where do you see yourself in 5-10 years? All right, well, I want to own a barbershop. I want to be able to lead. Let's do it. We had that intimacy, right? Where now I know how to lead him. I know how to coach him. I know how to train him. So he can do that and replicate that in others. Because the platform that I created just with the barbershop was not somewhere just for barbers to come in and slave their lives away, cutting hair behind the chair and not be able to live their life because they got to cut hair and make money. Right. So I tell them, look, I don't expect any of you guys, and I don't even want to see any of you guys be here for too long of a time, because that shows me that you've maxed out, but you also got comfortable. You're not elevating and getting to that next step, because there's more than being behind cutting hair and being behind the chair, right? Where now that's what I'm doing now. This is where the duplication factor comes in, duplicating the barbershop. And now with the referral business, we're able to now duplicate other leaders to be able to now help other people, help other homeowners, and help other business men and women, entrepreneurs, to create an extension of their business as well too.
That's awesome. Well, you heard it here, folks, that if you want to scale, which I think this is going to be a perfect subject for another podcast, because we got to get into that piece of it, because people want to go beyond themselves. So couple tidbits from today that I really want to wrap up before we wrap this up. First of all, thank you to Matthew Acosta with Build for coming out today. Thank you, brother, so very much.
Thank you for
Jimmy, the LA Homeboy.
The LA Homeboy at Instagram, at the LA Homeboy. Hit me up, follow.
But some of the key takeaways today from our Wealth podcast were super important, right? Authenticity, I think, is key. I think being an authentic person to not only yourself, but your brand is what's going to attract people into your business. And then when we started talking about this whole idea of scaling, is really, you've heard it multiple times on this podcast. Let go and let God. So trust not only in yourself, but something higher than yourself. And then when you let go and you let God, not only will those leaders come into your business, but it'll give you an opportunity to develop people who will push your brand when you're off doing the things that you love to do. Because one of the things that we consider wealth inside of the Wealth Podcast is to be able to have the lifestyle that you want to live, so that you can spend time with your family, with your people at your church, or wherever it is that you go, at soccer like I do with Jimmy. So listen, gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for coming on today. Give us a final invite, so people who are going to watch your Instagram.
I just want to make sure everyone out there tunes into this podcast coming at. You can find it, at LA Homeboy. I'll be tagged on it, so make sure you watch the podcast as it comes out.
All right, gentlemen, thank you so very much. We appreciate your time today. Hopefully you got some value today. Look forward to the next edition of the Wealth Group Podcast coming to you live next week. We'll see you guys. Thank you very much.